What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Rewind here on the Wayward World podcast. I'm Sid, and I am very happy to be joining you all again. I figured out some new lighting today, so hopefully this will stick around for future podcasts, not the stuff that I've been recording. I think like the consistency in the lights and the video hasn't really always been the same, but I use my phone as my camera, so you kind of get what you get. Very excited to present today's episode. We brought back Faye, aka Kyle Nye, back onto the show to just give us a little life update from the last time that she was on the show. I love Faye, as you all know. We've talked about Faye a lot on this show, and it would kind of be a disservice not to showcase her um, in this new format, in this new light, especially since she's grown so much in her drag, which we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the last 7 years of her drag. We are going to talk about her experience in Bellingham, where she got her name, where she gets her aesthetic. We'll talk about Andy, her boyfriend. It's a very good episode today. Stay tuned for a couple more episodes on the pipeline. This week, and God, I hope this week we will have Fanny DeVito on the show. It was pre-recorded, so it's just been sitting on my hard drive. And then back to your regularly scheduled rewind, we will have Oklahoma's Brownwind Belmont. Bronwyn Belmont. It's such a tongue twister to say sometimes, but Bronwyn Belmont will be on the show for Sunday, and then really soon we have a very special guest on the show. I'm very excited about this guest. I don't want to say too much about her. It's just kind of a dream come true to have this performer on. So stay tuned to this channel for there's gonna be a lot of exciting stuff actually. I'm kind of like stoked about this whole thing. Without further ado though, why don't you sit back, relax, and rewind with Faye. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rewind. I'm very excited to record another episode after recording. Hopefully, like at this point, I've recorded 2 other episodes, so hopefully those 2 episodes still see the light of day. I'm Sid, and today I'm joined by a 3-time guest on the show. She was originally from Moscow, Idaho. Then she was in Pullman, Washington, and now she's in Bellingham performing in drag for the last 8 years. Has it been?
Seven.
Wow, 7 years. Please welcome back Faye. Faye, how are you doing?
Hello, everybody. I am doing great. I'm so happy to see you again. It's been like what, a couple months now since we saw
Yeah,
each other like last in like
it was
December.
it was 2 months almost. I mean, like
That's
we're almost
insane.
3 months too. We saw each other in Seattle for New Year's. Like it was New
Yeah.
Year's weekend, but it was a lot of fun. I got to meet Andy for the first time.
I know for the first time.
Yeah, and it's
And
not the hallucination that he had of like meeting some other time.
yeah.
No, so it has been kind of a bit, but tell us about your drag look right now. Like, what are you wearing?
Oh my goodness. So I am beat for the gods. No, I'm just kidding. I am wanting to switch it up because the last 2 times I've been on the show with you, I have been in drag. And I think today I wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into the person maybe behind the drag, at least in like visuals. So I was like, let's just be the person that I am. So hello.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you kind of had like a masculine drag king vibe the first time, and then the second time it was like totally femme, and now it's just normal.
And now it's just me, just a
Yeah.
little lad.
I, no, that's really great. So you moved to Bellingham, and you kind of moved, I think, a couple months after your episode. No, your episode was like 2 years ago.
It was like 2 years ago. I was just like fresh in Pullman, I think. Like
Oh
fresh from
shit!
moving from Pullman, like Moscow to Pullman. So it
Wow.
was an interesting little time because like I know I started in like South Idaho, went to school at Moscow U of I, and then like hopped across the border to Pullman, and now I'm here. And honestly, so much happier.
Yeah,
It's
tell me
great.
about it. Like why Bellingham and like what
Yeah.
was the deciding factor for you to move again?
Yeah, so Andy's best friend actually like lived here for a super long time. They still live here, and Andy would always like visit them, and they just said that Bellingham is an incredible little place, and I was like, cool, that's awesome. And then I visited in February of 2023, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're moving here. This is incredible. This is amazing over here. And I didn't think that it was gonna like be that quick of a move, but it was definitely that quick of a move. Um, and I think the main reason we chose Bellingham is because it's outside of Seattle. It's only about like an hour and a half if you're like driving on a good day outside of Seattle. And it has an amazing queer like space for like every single person here. It's probably the queerest city in like Washington. So
Wow.
like it's like really amazing. I'm very happy here.
Yeah, we were talking about me possibly moving and stuff like that. And I was
Yeah.
actually I Bellingham was kind of like in that area because I feel like a lot of people have moved over there and a lot of people have been hyping it up. But like just seeing how you and Andy talk about it and like seeing your post and I follow a couple of drag kings and drag queens that perform at Rumors Cabaret,
Hmm.
which they have a really nice set.
They
Yeah.
do. It's really awesome here.
What is it? What is Rumors Cabaret exactly? Like, is it a bar?
Yeah, so is a bar and a dance drag club kind of combo. So
Wow.
it's actually probably one of the biggest queer bars I've been in, besides like the balcony in Boise. Because one entire side of the bar is just like a bar with tables that you can like go up, get your drinks, what have you. But then the other half of it is like a dance floor and a stage.
Oh,
And it's
cool.
really incredible.
Yeah.
So we get treated pretty good over here.
And do you perform often there? That's like the home bar now.
Yeah, I've been performing there. I it wouldn't be it would like if I just counted out my shows, I would probably equal out to at least performing once a week. But like I perform maybe like 3 times 1 week, and then like 1 week I don't perform. So it kind of is like varied, but I at least perform, I'd want to say like 5 to 6 times a month.
Oh, wow. That's really good. That's more
Yeah,
than
and
most
I'm
people.
yeah, and then I'm one of the revolving hosts for our Sunday show, which is a benefit show for Lifelong and Planned Parenthood. So it's
Okay.
really fun.
I've
Yeah.
always wanted to be a host. I feel like I would make a good host.
I feel like you would. Well, especially because you have the knowledge of like what your show has done.
Oh yeah. It's really but just about selling the thing and like just being super loud and annoying and like, oh yeah, you know exactly what you're talking about, but you don't really know what you're talking about. So I feel like
Yeah.
that like it requires like a certain amount of charisma and like
Hmm.
not to brag, but I feel like I have a good amount of charisma or a decent amount on good days.
You can brag. It's okay. You're safe here. You can brag.
um I so the rewind, you were on the rewind last time,
Yeah.
which it was kind of similar to like what we're doing right now, but nowadays the rewind is we're focused more on digging into people's annals or anals. I don't know what it's
Ooh,
called, like which is the right word, but whichever,
scrolling in there.
yeah, scrolling in there and looking back on um, specifically like how they got to where they are like right now. The concept of rewinding, unwinding, blah blah blah. Um, I just love calling like I think the big debate will be like, is it called anals or annals with two
I'm from
N's?
Idaho. I don't know.
Okay, someone will correct it. But I think
Yeah.
the one question I never really asked you on the show was like Faye. Where does that come from?
Yeah, so Faye is the French word for fairy. Um, but in the 40s and the 50s, it was used as a slur against gay men. And I don't want to like get the show canceled or like anything like that. But
Okay, please.
it's basically the equivalent of like today's use of the word fag.
Mhm. Oh, we love faggot.
Um,
Faggot.
yeah, it's great. Okay, cool.
Yeah, hit the
Um,
sleigh button, faggot.
oh, perfect. Okay, awesome.
We love you,
So
Paul.
I just wanted to bring back the beauty of what the word meant, which was just like a playful little sprite. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's really what Faye is just an all-encompassing little creature.
Yeah. I feel like faggot can be a pretty word, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Meatball says it all the time. I listen to Sloppy Seconds a lot, so like
Yeah.
it's the podcast that she hosts, but she's really funny on that. But um, yeah, you mentioned it like to me, like that was a reclamation of like what essentially was a slur word. Is that
Yeah.
something were you called a fairy as a kid?
Uh,
Were those insults like flung around before?
I mean, I was mostly called like a faggot,
Mhm.
when I was being bullied like in middle school. So like, I guess it's kind of a reclamation of that. But I feel like I wasn't really called a fairy. I got called a fudge packer a lot. That was interesting to hear being
Oh,
in middle school. So I was like, wow, okay, cool.
like what does that even
Um,
mean?
but honestly, I think it's just like any person that is queer will just have things that they have been called. So I feel like it's an all-encompassing like reclaim
Mhm.
of stuff. So that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, was that like your intention when coming up with a drag name, or did you go through several different ones before you settled on Faye?
Faye was the first one, honestly. Me
Uh,
and my cousin Bianca, we were just kind of perusing like possibilities of names, and we stumbled upon Faye, and then I kind of like looked into what like the actual word meant, like where it came from and all things like that. And I was like, wow, that's really great. I really like that, and I really want to just harbor that, you know? Because like I know there are like so many queens that have like so many like longer names. I just wanted one word, honestly. And
yeah,
I think that's great.
and sometimes you attach queen at the end just to like,
Sometimes I do, yeah.
yeah, just to make sure, hey, I'm a drag queen. Like when you look me up.
Yeah.
No, I love that. What would you say is like what inspires you in drag? Like when you're coming up with like a design and stuff like that? Because we've seen you
Yeah.
done like different aesthetics, different looks
Hmm.
before, but does what kind of inspires you to put on something or like be like, oh, I want to rock this in drag?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I kind of am an all-encompassing little being because I'm inspired by so many things. Like I could be inspired by like the way the sunset looks one day, or I could be inspired by someone that's in a magazine. But in all honesty, kind of where I feel like my drag lives, and this is what I usually tell people, is that my drag is inspired by pinups from the 30s and the 40s.
Mhm.
So whenever I'm in drag, I want to look like a drawing. I want to look like I'm a pinup that's come to life, but it can be intermixed with like so many other things. Like it could be intermixed with like the 80s. It could be intermixed with like alt or punk like things like that too. So I just feel like I always want to look like I'm a little pinup, but with a twist.
I love
Kind of what I like.
pinups. I mean, like as you could tell, like I have like my pinups here.
What?
Yeah,
The tattoos.
yeah, I mean, like I haven't shown the tattoos yet, but like this is a tattoo of Bosco, runner
Yeah,
up from
baby.
season. Oh, she's kind of red, huh? Like, is it red? Like,
I mean, you just got it on Friday, so
oh,
like,
oh, well, I think I also put my elbow on the thing. It's kind of I just took off the what do you call it?
oh, the
This,
second skin.
the second skin like today.
Hmm.
I usually keep it on for a day or two. Once like it stops like being swollen. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of it's very sticky. But there's nothing I can do about it. It's gonna be sticky
Yeah.
for a bit. But no, I love pinups. I'm very drawn to pinups myself because
Hmm.
of where I come from, like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. We had a lot of censor, like, oh,
Yeah.
you can't show pinups, you can't show naked ladies or stuff like that,
Hmm.
or like, hot girls, and it's very taboo. But ever since I left Islam and kind of distanced myself from Saudi Arabia, I'm still Arab, but like just the culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to do things that um, was kind of in rebellion to like a lot of the norms over there. So that's why
Yeah.
I have like my pinups on here, but I needed to make them drag queens. And like ideally I wanted to make them trans drag queens too. Like I feel like that's a
Yeah.
3-in-1 like taboo haram type thing.
Well, and I think that it's just like such a like amazing thing to see like the growth of that too, where you can be like, this was something that I was not deemed appropriate as a child, and now it's like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I care about these individuals that much that I want to showcase and represent them within myself. I think that's really cool.
That and mentally I'm a whore,
Well,
you know.
aren't we all?
I,
Aren't
I
we
mean,
all?
like, like the way we talk in text messages, not about ourselves, but like other people, specifically
Oh,
Don and JK from drag television. Yeah,
yeah. I'm glad I could send you links when I needed to. That's all I will say on that.
exactly. Yeah, we won't talk more about that. But going back to your drag, so you've been doing it. I'm sorry, you said you've been doing it for 7 years, right?
7 years, just hit my 7 year mark on January 1st.
Nice. How does that
Yeah.
feel to do something for 7 years?
You know what? It's honestly crazy because I started when I was 18.
Hmm.
And that is just so wild and so bonkers to me to think about because I have done so much growing and so much like learning in these 7 years, especially like within myself. And it's like I don't think 18-year old me would have even expected like anything like to be going on like it is today. I think that's really cool because like I feel like I am the most myself nowadays too. I've come to terms with a lot of things about myself, especially like my gender and my sexuality and all things like that. So it's like really, really awesome to think that when I was 18, I didn't really know too much about that because like you're 18, the world is so freshly new, especially like after moving so far away from home to go to school. It was like crazy and wild to me. And now like looking back, I'm like, wow, I've done so much growing and I've done so much learning. And that's great. And I can't wait to keep doing more.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I look back on it's been 10, almost 11 years since I've been in the United States, and
Hmm.
it kind of doesn't feel real, you know?
Yeah.
Like it feels like I've been here forever, but there was at least 20 years of my life where I was not here. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of was here. I mean, I was born in Seattle, but I was born in Seattle and I left when I was about four.
Hmm.
So essentially, most of my life I was in Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia, but it's kind of weird to think that I've lived there and how much I've
Right.
grown, and like even how much I've grown in 2 years. You know, I
Yeah.
I just like I hate it. Like it's cool, like when you look back on it, but like the idea of the show, like Rewind, looking back, like it's a lot of fun to look back on those things, but
Yeah.
I in the moment, like this is kind of awful. Like there's a lot of bad things that happen, but then when you look back on it, like, oh, we got over that.
But I think that's like honestly like the really cool thing about growing and learning more about yourself too, because when you think back on things, you don't necessarily go to the bad things first. You always
Mhm.
think of like the good things first. And then the bad things kind of start trickling in. But at least it's like the good things first. And I think that that's something that's really cool, especially like within humanity of itself, is that we all inherently just think about the good times.
Oh
I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're mentally ill too, you also think a lot about the bad times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into that one, but
Oh
yeah.
no, we won't. I mean, like we can, but maybe not right now. Like it's still not dinner time yet. So
That's true. You do have pizza on the way after this. So
eventually, I yeah, South shout out to South Perry Pizza. It's like 10 like I was gonna say a 10-minute walk, and that's not even true. It's like a 2-minute walk from my house,
mhm.
and it saved my life.
There you
Like
go.
it's honestly like not the best pizza in the world. Like it's good pizza. It's not like some of the best that I've had, but it's good enough and it's cheap enough.
It does the job,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the company is good too. So, going back to you, I'm curious because you're still with Andy, who we
I
love. We
am.
met Andy. Um, what was Andy's reaction to you in drag? Like, did he initially thought it was cool, like that you were doing it, and then like once you kind of like got into the relationship, like I guess like there's a difference between when you meet someone in drag for the first time. Oh my God, you're doing drag. That's so cool. I want to be friends with that. But then having a partner and being like, this is what my partner does every day. I don't see him sometimes. He's kind of crazy, like making stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how has it been like for him to like adapt to your lifestyle?
Honestly, he's probably my biggest fan and my biggest supporter, which I think is so cool. He constantly tells people what I do, and it just feels so validating. And it also just feels like I'm really cared for, which is really like special, you know. And like
How does he describe you to other people? Like when he comes to drag, do you know?
um I feel like he's told me, but I always feel like it changes because he is so infatuated with me. And he's
Wow.
just like, this is my lovely partner. Look at what he does. So I feel like that's kind of how that gets kind of described to other people is he's so incredibly blank. He's blah, blah, blah. This is what he does. Well, I think that's like really sweet. And like, he always helps me no matter what. He's like my biggest confidant. He pushes me to do bigger and better things every time when I tell him like this is an idea I want to do. He's like, do it. How are we gonna make it a thing? And I'm like, I'll figure it out.
Mm.
So it's really cool. And like not to get like super sentimental, but he asked me to be his boyfriend after one of my shows. So I was in
Wow.
drag when he asked me to be his partner.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I will say the one cruel thing you do to him in drag is you wear those damn heels and he's very short.
He's
And like
so small.
and then you like just walk 2 steps and that it takes him about 10 steps. I feel that as someone who's 5'6" myself.
Yeah, you and Andy are like almost the same size. I think he's 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah. It's like you tall people, like with your tall people, like La Grande Dame. Have you seen like Drag Race
Oh
UK?
yeah.
Like
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah. And she's already tall and she's what like she's as tall as
Yeah.
like Tia Coffee. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I think she's 6'4" or something like that, and I'm 6'2", so I'm not that far behind.
Yeah. And she wears heels that are like what, 3 more inches.
Usually, yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that's really great. The first time I've seen you perform, and I think we talked about that, was at the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival.
Yeah.
You hosted that was your first show that not only you hosted for ACTF, but that was the
hmm
first show that you hosted ever, and you were like 20, right?
I think I was 20 because it was in 2019 in February, and I think I turned 20. Yeah, I turned 21 in March that year in 2019. So yeah, I was only 20. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, it was the first ever like drag show for Region 7, which was really cool. And the way it worked is that I had a workshop the day before, or like 2 days before, I want to say. I can't really remember. All of the details are super muddy because it's been so long.
Oh yeah.
But I asked some of my theater professors, especially Kelly Quinnett, I was like, hey, I would love to teach a workshop at KCTF about drag. Can that be a thing? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And it happened, and it was so fun. And most of the people that were in the show was their first time ever performing in drag.
Mhm.
And they were people that came from the workshop to sign up for the show to do it. We had, of course, like a couple individuals that had been doing drag that went into the show too. So I was like, so cool. It's so awesome. One of my really good friends, who does drag, and I think just got a casting call back for Broadway is super cool.
Oh.
So very excited for them, and I'm wishing them all the best with that.
Oh, that's so cool. A lot of my friends were in that workshop too.
Really?
Yeah, Reese. Uh, I don't know what Reese's last name. I think it's Reese Davies, but Reese was in it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he
God,
was
yeah.
King Pinoy, I think was yeah.
Yeah.
I want him to do drag now because at the time he didn't come out as trans. So, but I
hmm
think like with his performance and stuff, like he could be a really cool drag performer.
Yeah.
There was a couple, Adam Pesh, Evelyn Elston. Probably, I don't know if you even remember those names, but
It was
so
such a
long ago.
fast, like quick thing that happened too. So
Mhm.
I can't really remember names, but I absolutely remember faces.
Yeah,
And
I'll throw.
every single
Yeah,
year in like February, like my memories like throw it up with the picture of the group, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah. I remember. I was there in attendance for that show, like when we were
Yeah,
dating and stuff, and I was like, I think that was the first time I was like super flustered, like
probably, yeah.
just a little bit. I was like, oh man, how many drag shows did I didn't really see a lot of drag shows at the time, so it was really good. I had a fun
hmm
time, but I was also very flustered because I was dating you at the time, so it was.
Well, well,
I mean,
you know.
obviously you were Stanita as well. Like you were
Oh
really
my
good.
gosh, I was not. Go look back at those pictures.
I I don't
Oh
think
my goodness.
I don't think I've ever recalled you not looking good in anything. You
Oh,
know what I mean? Like
yeah.
not to be biased or anything, but like for real, you were really good. like all the
Mhm.
time. So I don't know.
Well, I
What
definitely prefer my face now. I'll say that.
what about it like did you not like about you at that time?
Honestly, I feel like I just wasn't painting like I guess like depth wise enough. My brows were like too thick. I was definitely stuck with like the 2016 like Instagram brow.
Uh,
And now I think I'm more accurate to what I want to look like every time I'm in drag.
I mean, like you probably have to after like 7 years, like
A
change it
lot
up
of
a little bit.
practice.
I mean, like
A
look at
lot of
Trixie
practice.
Mattel. Like she absolutely looked awful. Like
We all start somewhere, you know.
yeah, and now she looks amazing, especially
Yeah.
like now that she's on the weight loss. Like not to say like her weight before like diminished her beauty or anything, but like she's really
Hmm.
like been taking care of herself recently, and you can
Hmm.
tell like in her makeup and stuff like that. Like she's really good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her makeup is
It's just
crazy.
it's just cool seeing how every performer kind of evolves. And I think that that's really neat.
Have you ever thought about doing something like that again now that you have like a little bit more experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've definitely thought about it. I've thought about even going back to school to
Oh,
get my master's.
oh my God.
So that would be fun. But I think if I were to go back to get like my master's, I would want to focus more on the design side because
Okay.
my degree is a split degree. So I have both design and performance in it,
Okay.
which is wild. Um, but I think if I went back, I'd want to get like my master's in design.
Okay. You see, I have constantly thought about getting my master's, but um, I was telling my mom this because we were talking about like the move and stuff like that. And in
Hmm.
my mind, Spokane theater people don't listen to this. Um, maybe I just don't like Spokane theater, you know? Like again, Spokane theater people who listen to this don't listen to this part. I guess I just need change. And I'm wondering like if I move to the west side, if that's going to change like somehow, like my love for
Yeah.
theater. Because I do miss performing arts and I miss
Oh,
performing on stage.
absolutely.
But
Hmm.
I get the master's thing. That's crazy. Are you like applying right now?
No.
Is there
Um,
is there like a dream
well,
school?
I so there is a university in Bellingham. It's Western Washington University, but unfortunately they don't have a master's in theater. They only
Oh
have a
yeah.
BFA. So the closest school would be in Vancouver, Canada, because Vancouver is only like 40 minutes away from Bellingham.
Doesn't UW have? I know they have a theater master's, but I don't know if it's specifically in design.
I
And they're a
don't
really
know.
good school.
I'd have to look. I've heard lots of really good things about Vancouver's university. Um,
Yeah.
and I know Seattle has one too, of course, but I don't know. I'm still kind of exploring. I don't know if it's something that I actively want to do yet. I feel like if I do go back to get my master's, it would be like when I'm 28 or something like that.
Mhm.
Because I'm still young, I still want to like go out and experience and like get a lot of like stuff under my belt before I do that. But then of course I always said if like art and theater and drag don't really work out for me in the future, I'm just gonna go to school to be a mortician.
That's that's a really interesting one, but I think you're doing really good in drag. I mean, just recently you were in Dreamland and
Oh my gosh,
Fremont, Seattle. Like not to brag from me because like I invited y'all, but
yeah. You can absolutely brag.
I kind of got you the gig, like this is where you should this is where you should perform, Kyle. Like go
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then you reached out to Arietti. Was it
Hmm.
Arietti that you reached out to?
Yeah.
Yep, Arietti,
Hmm.
drag performer in Seattle, drag daughter to
Amazing.
Irene Dubois.
Amazing. Hmm.
Amazing. Wait, is she Irene Dubois or Irene the Alien now?
I think she's just going by Irene the Alien, but don't quote me because I have no idea about anything in the world.
Yeah, and you actually got to perform with Irene too.
Yeah, the day I performed with Irene, Norvina, Arietti, and then it was me. So it was us.
Was Jane not a part of it? Jane don't.
Jane was DJing.
Okay, I love
Hmm.
Jane don't. I'm getting her on this show because I feel like we vibed
Yeah.
a couple of times, and I talk to all of them on Instagram. I just message
Yeah.
like Slay Queen,
Hmm.
you're amazing, type of deal. But I think Jane kind of knows me as like the Spokane person. you know?
Yeah,
Like, because she's also from Spokane. So I'm like, solidarity. Like, you
someone who
got,
knows.
yeah, it's like you got out of it. So, but anyway, um, what's a question that I can ask you about drag? Oh, yeah, nightlife. Oh, dog. Was that a pup?
That is my dog. Yes, it is Jezebel. She's
Jezebel.
hearing noises.
Oh,
Do you
I
want to
love
say
that.
hi?
Oh my goodness. Oh, she's an old lady. She's got like the salt and pepper.
Oh, that's just how she is. She's a blue healer.
Oh, okay. Well,
Hmm.
like I love the salt and pepper. Like I didn't mean to call her old.
It's okay. She's 9, so she's pretty old.
Okay, well that okay then. Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm gonna miss my dogs when I move. Like I
Yeah,
told you about that, but
yeah.
I'm gonna miss them, but I'm kind of not because Charlie, I love Charlie. Charlie was there for Eli and Peyton, my two
Hmm.
English Springer Spaniels. Like he's the OG dog now. He barks a lot. And like that's the only thing I'm not gonna ever miss is
Is
his
barking.
his barking that we've
Yeah.
we've done literally everything to stop him from barking, but he's just very stubborn.
Sometimes that's just how it be. Jezebel's a barker too.
Yeah. He's a barker and then he escapes if you leave the
Hmm.
front door too open. So and he's
Yeah,
taught the two labs about barking too. So
I love that. It's a
um
noisy household now for sure.
it has been and it drives us crazy. The question I wanted to ask you is about nightlife because drag is
Yeah.
pretty much about, for the most part, you're engaging in a lot of nightlife and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Um, do you enjoy it? Like besides like doing drag, like
Yeah.
the idea of like going out at night and partying, but like, going out to drink and stuff like that. Like is that something like what does that mean to you? Like is that something that's important to you going out at night?
Yeah. Honestly, it is. I feel like before moving, it wasn't very easy to go out because when I was freshly out of college, it was quarantine, so like no one was going out. And then like I didn't want to go out because of like risks and stuff. But since moving, I've enjoyed going out a little bit more. I'm still very much a homebody and I'm still very much a very shy person outside of drag.
Mhm.
Um, so going out can sometimes be a little bit more difficult for me because I feel like I am an extrovert trapped in an introvert's body.
Mhm.
So I long to go out and I want to go out, but then it's like, you're safer at home sometimes. And I'm like, I'm safe everywhere. So I think that's like a big goal for me this year is to actually like go out a little bit more because I love nightlife. I love going out and like hanging out with my friends, going dancing. I don't drink that much, so it's just nice to maybe have like one drink and then just have fun for the rest of the night.
Yeah. Is Andy I feel like Andy's a big talker and like a
Oh,
big
he is such an extrovert, and I love that because he'll help bring me out of my shell. He's also like a little shy at first, but then like once he's comfortable or he's like with friends, he's like running around just having fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We're gonna get Andy on the show. I promised him a while ago, and then I
Oh
just
my
had him like,
gosh, I know. He told me he was like, "Tell Sid hi," and I was like, "I will." And then he's like, "Also, I'm still sad and sorry that I couldn't do it, and I had to reschedule every single time he asked." And I was
that's
like,
all
"It's
right.
okay."
I had a meltdown. So I don't even know. Like I really hope I can like get around to like uploading these, but I think like
Yeah.
recording them has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Especially since the guests that we're gonna have on, no spoilers, but the guests that we're gonna have on the show, I need to bring my A game
I
on
know. I'm
that.
so excited for you.
Um, but who knows? That might change because I'm moving in. I don't know if um, I can do it. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's too far in the future. The thing I wanted to ask you, like in the 7 years that you've done drag,
Yeah.
when was the moment you felt like, oh, this is something that I'm good at, and this is something that I like to do? Was it like the first time you put on drag? Was it like kind of year two, year three going into it? Like when was the moment where you were just like, this clicked?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I've been doing drag longer than 7 years because even as a kid, I was running around my house with like my mom's heels on and like running around with like blankets tied around my waist, pretending they were dresses and things like that. I'm shocked. no one clocked me being queer when I was a kid.
Mhm.
They were all like, "Oh, we
He's very
never
sweet.
knew." But then my mom, right after I came out to her, she was like, "You really didn't think we knew?" And I was
Oh,
like, "I don't, it's fine." Um, but honestly, I feel like within my drag journey, I felt like it really clicked once I like performed in front of a crowd for the first time.
Mhm.
Because my first couple performances that I ever did in drag were just in front of my friends in my dorm. That's
Okay.
about it. So my very first time I performed in drag was in my good friend, Samantha. If you're listening, I love you. It was in her dorm room, and it was her and I think like two of our other friends. And my first performance I performed was "Perfect Illusion" by Lady Gaga. It was
Okay.
great. It was fun. I was so busted, and honestly, it was so much fun. And then I performed a couple more times, like for my friends. And then I remember one night in my lounge, because in like the dorms, when you have the lounges like on your
Mhm.
floor, that was my little hub, and I would host a little one woman drag show. Um, and it was just a lot of fun. And I remember I was doing a performance, and the RA came in like on their rounds, and they were like, "What is going on?" Because I was like performing, and I think I was on top of somebody, so it was like they thought something weird was going on, and then they were like, "Oh, hi, it's just you. Have fun, be safe." So
Yeah.
that was fun. But then my first actual performance was for a drag bingo in Moscow when they were still at One World Cafe. Um, I think that was the very last One World Cafe too that they had before we moved venues. It was so much fun.
Oh,
And I
sick.
was just like, this really clicks. And I think I'm gonna do this for a long time.
Yeah. Was the drag bingo with your with Akasha?
Yeah, it was. It
Oh,
was
okay.
fun. It was, if I remember correctly, it was Akasha, Roderick,
Roderick.
myself, and then a couple other performers. I can't necessarily remember who was on the show, but at least I know it was us three.
Okay.
Because that's when me, Akasha, and Roderick, I think, really started clicking.
And Akasha, forgive me the pronunciation of the last name. Akasha Delushi?
Delusty.
Delusty. Okay. Akasha
Hmm.
Delusty. She's your drag mother, right?
Yes,
Like,
she is. Yes, she is.
okay. Tell me about her. Like, how did you meet her? Like, how did she
Oh
become your
my
drag mother?
gosh. I love that woman so much. She's so rotted. I'm just kidding.
Uh,
She's a wonderful, lovely woman. I love her so much. I met her through doing drag, because I started doing drag even before I realized that there was a drag scene in Moscow. I guess I wasn't really like looking or like really that well versed in like queer life when I first started drag, because I was still so closeted and I just had recently came out. So I knew that there was drag in the world, but I just didn't know that there was drag in Moscow. And I thought that that was really cool to find out. Um, and then it was over summer break. I reached out to Akasha and I was like, "Hey, I just heard that there's a drag scene in Moscow. I would love to learn how to get involved in that." And she helped me. She pointed me in the right direction. She pointed me to Tabitha and Kathy, who ran the Tabby Cat shows there in Moscow. And honestly, it was just so incredible. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in contact with her?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Me and Akasha talk, I want to say at least once a week, if not more. It's just really nice that I still have such really good connections with the people that I performed with back over in Moscow. I miss
I,
them a lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're hella charismatic and you're nice and stuff. Like, I would hope like a lot of people would like think the same way, you know?
I hope so.
Yeah. That's really cool that you like started out like you were just performing in front of friends and just
Yeah.
like trying to get a feel for it. And eventually when you took it like on the stage, usually like when you're in front of an audience, like just like that atmosphere changes.
Hmm.
And it's like something clicks inside. I mean, I remember
Oh
doing
yeah.
um Rocky Horror at the Garland Theater in Spokane, Washington. And this is like me fresh off like the airplane in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Like I heard about Rocky Horror um, because I watched Perks of Being a Wallflower, and
Yeah.
I love that movie a lot, and still do, despite some of the flaws and some of the bad people that are in it. Ezra Miller. Like I still love that movie. And I was talking to my mom about, oh, like because we were watching it and she mentioned we got to the Rocky Horror Picture Show scene. It's like, oh, they do this at the Garland Theater. I'm like, what? This is a real movie? This is like the audience part. I knew about the Rocky Horror Show
Hmm.
through Tumblr and like gifs and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
from that context only. I thought I always just assumed it was like a serious campy horror movie instead of like
Hmm.
a musical or whatever. But she told me like, oh no, this audience participation thing that they're doing is a thing that they do. It's
Yeah.
real. And I was like, huh. So I go to the Garland and was I didn't get it at first, but I was like, I think I can perform in this. Even though I had
Hmm.
no theater experience, no acting whatsoever. It's like I look like Meatloaf a little bit. So I think I could do the Meatloaf thing. And they liked me and I used to perform with Absolute Pleasure in Spokane
Hmm.
for a long time. I would say
Yeah.
about 5 years or so while I was
Oh
doing theater
wow.
and stuff. So um kind of stopped because the scene was too young for me, even at like
Yeah.
what 24, 25. I was like,
Hmm.
it's a lot of young people, a lot of minors coming to the
Yeah.
show, and some of the cast members were minors as well, which they didn't
Mm.
do. Like there was boundaries and stuff, like
Yeah.
that we couldn't do specifically, and I
Hmm.
wouldn't do, but it just got to the point where it just wasn't for me. Going out, staying up late wasn't for me, but I loved
Yeah.
performing. I loved being
Hmm.
a part of that, and
No,
I think
yeah,
that that's
absolutely.
that's what kind of like clicked the acting part.
Yeah.
um the theater part really didn't click until I directed Dog Sees God as my senior
Hmm.
thesis. Or actually no, I saw Next to Normal. I was like,
Mm.
this is what performing arts can be.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is making me like cry. Like
Aw.
my friend next to me was like, are you okay? And because I was like crying so much, I was like, no, this is too
This is
much.
really emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Next to Normal?
I have read the script. I've never seen it, but I've read it, and it's
Okay, so you know what the
very
story is.
emotional. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah, it's a fucked up play, but a really good in a
Hmm.
good way. But
Yeah.
no,
It's
like
also funny that you brought up Rocky Horror because I did Rocky Horror for 3 years, which is really
yeah,
fun
I
too.
think you talked
Hmm.
about that too. You were Frank a couple
Hmm.
times.
It sure was.
Yeah, I want to do it again, like Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Just like
It's
performing in
fun.
that. I want to
Hmm.
perform in the actual musical. I feel like I could do. Really
I
want.
would love to actually do the actual musical too. I think that
Mhm.
would be a lot of fun.
Exactly. Um, who's your drag inspiration? Who do you like? Who do you look up to? I mean, well, we both like RuPaul's Drag Race and all that, and we follow a lot of drag queens. But is there someone
Oh
that
yeah.
you love?
Well, I have just been an avid fan of drag for so long. I remember it was back in, I think my freshman year of high school when I really dove deep into like queer history
Mhm.
because I was a little closeted like little lad in Idaho and I was like, well, I want to learn more about the queers in like New York and things like that. And I dived deep into drag. I found so many inspiring things like within the theater world
Mhm.
because it's such a theater thing, which is so cool. And it's such an underground thing too, which is like club kid scenes and like alternative scenes. Like I am such an avid fan of like Dragula. Shout out
Oh,
to Dragula. Dragula is an amazing show and I think it's doing amazing things for amazing people. Um, and it's just so cool. And like I think probably one of my biggest like well, I feel like I have like a big top three people that inspire me throughout my drag. And one would be Amanda Lepore.
oh, uh,
Love that woman to death. I think she is so incredibly talented, and just such a charismatic person. Lee Bowery
oh,
for the like alternative club kid scene,
okay.
especially like in the 80s and the 90s of New York, really incredible. And then Sasha Velour is probably like
Ah,
one of my biggest like inspirations. I've met her. She is incredible. I cried and it was great.
did she sound like this all the time? Hi, I love
Oh my
art.
God, no, she was so incredible and so
Yeah, I
charismatic.
just make.
I can send you like pictures or a little clip of like
Did you
her and
did
me
you
meeting. It was great.
did you see her the show that she did, like Bosco's show, Grindhouse?
No. I met her in Boise's 2019 Pride.
Oh, okay. That's
Hmm.
really nice. She was in Seattle, like I think it was last month, like
Oh,
this, like
really?
February. Yeah. It was a
Oh,
show,
wow.
it's a show that Bosco's doing. I think quarterly. It's called Grindhouse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about now.
it was Bosco, Sasha Velour, and I think Tenderoni was in it, but also Jane Doe
Oh,
and
cool.
all the other queer
Yeah.
bar, like
Hmm.
Seattle people. But no, she was in Seattle. Um, Mister.
That's the thing about being inspired and following so many amazing performers. I don't see everything anymore. I
Yeah.
just see the wave of things after it happens, and I'm like, oh, I would have loved to know that that was going on, but it's okay.
Well, we should go to the next Grindhouse.
I'd love that, honestly.
Whether I'm moving to Seattle this year or whatever, or like I we just go over one day.
Yeah, yeah.
I still need
You're
to
not
go to
that far
the
away.
I mean, like I'm 5 hours away, like right now, Spokane and all. But I've always wanted to, I do want to go to Bellingham. I'm very interested in that area.
It's
Like
so amazing here.
I'm hearing so much good stuff about it. Like not just from you, but like the the art between the artists that I follow. There's one you know them, Dizzy Foria.
Oh, Dizzy, I love you, Dizzy. If you're listening, you are an incredible person, and I love and
Yeah,
miss you.
yeah, their drag is really good. I love it.
Mhm.
There's a couple other. I think there was I think her name is Jizzy Pop. Like,
Ah, Jizzy, the
yeah,
little clown.
yeah.
What a little lady. I
Well,
like her a lot.
yeah,
She's funny.
yeah. I only know of her because you tagged her, and I was like, oh, it's a drag queen, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Hmm.
follow them.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but
Avery outside of drag is incredible.
love
Jizzy's
it.
an incredible person.
Um, yeah, I want to see a show again. I think Dreamline was a lot of fun. Hopefully we get to see a show again soon.
Yeah. I would like that a lot.
Yeah. You mentioned the Boulets, and I remember I
Hmm.
didn't meet them at DragCon, but I saw them at DragCon. They are imposing. Like it is like they just walk together and like they're the whole like with their arms like they're just their
Hmm.
aura like it's what you see on the TV is like what they bring in real life. And I think like
Yeah.
there's no like I mean, I'm sure there is footage, but like there's no footage of them outside of drag, It's
Hmm.
Dracmorda and Swantula. Like it's
Hmm.
all the time. So seeing them in person was kind of surreal. And it was kind of surreal
Yeah.
when my friend Mixosti, who we've had on the show, mentioned that they were not brothers. And they
No,
were
they are
actually
not. They are indeed partners.
yeah, I just like I get it, like with the whole filth and stuff like that. Like why, like the like drag horror filth and all that. Like
Yeah.
why they call themselves that.
Hmm.
It doesn't help that they fall into the white gay stereotype of like marrying yourself or marrying someone that looks like your brother.
I mean, hey, the gays can't escape it.
Yeah. But no, I want to see them. I want to go to their Halloween ball one day.
I would love to go to their ball. I've heard so many like really cool things happen there, and I just really want to go.
Yeah, they have like haunted like scare zones, performances, like weird stuff, competition.
Hmm.
You can compete in it. I feel like if you can compete in it and you can win. And then
Tee.
Dracmorda and Swanthula will be like, you should be on Dragula.
Oh.
Would you rather be on Dragula or Drag Race or Camp Wanakiki, which I also learned was a reality TV show?
Oh my gosh, Camp Kiki is so much fun. One of my really dear friends competed on season two.
Okay.
And Diana Fire over in Portland, Oregon. I love that little creature so much. Love them so much. They're incredible. And actually, fun fact, her and my drag mom went to high school together and are like
Ah,
really good friends. So it's really cool to see that happen.
yeah.
Um, it's always a hard question, because you have to look inwardly at yourself and you're like, oh, well, do I fit this more? Do I fit this more? Like, what fits within my wheelhouse? But honestly, I feel like why put yourself in a box? Do them all. Do all three.
Oh
Why
yeah.
not?
Do you feel like you can do like the exterminations? Like, how do you feel about those? Like, I feel like
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
one thing. Okay, you could do weird
I've
shit.
stapled things to myself. I'm not scared.
I think the one thing I would be because in season 5 of Dragula, the one that aired just last 2, 3 months ago,
Hmm.
uh, the whole bungee jumping thing.
I
Um,
would have loved to do that. Are
I
you
feel like
kidding me?
I feel like that's the one where I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, I would have loved it. Any extermination I watch, I'm always like, that'd be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, the parachuting, like as I know in season 3 they did skydiving, and that one I'm
Yeah.
fine with. Like it's not that kind of heights. I feel like there's some sort of protection there. When it's bungee jumping,
Yeah.
there's no protection. I mean, like there is protection. Obviously, they're not like throwing you off a building. I mean, like with nothing on, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there's nothing. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's different.
Yeah, it's a fear of yours, and that's understandable.
It's
Sometimes you
heights.
just have to get over the fear.
It's heights. Yeah, it's definitely
We
heights.
can jump off of a bridge together. How about
I hope not.
that?
You know what I mean? um what was I gonna say? I think like the food though,
Mhm.
like the food stuff, I think I can handle that. Yeah, some of the stuff didn't look that gross on the other seasons. Like
Yeah,
what did they
I think I could handle it.
yeah. The question was like the raw stuff. It was just like when does this borderline like just not safe, you know? Like when are we
Yeah.
getting salmonella?
I mean, I feel like they make it to where it is at least somewhat consumable.
I think so.
It won't taste great, but
I, I heard it like food grade, um,
yeah.
raw, you know, like
Hmm.
essentially like when those people who like rare steak, which I'm one of those people. I love rare steak.
Yeah.
Like they can consume it essentially. I mean,
Yeah.
people eat steak tartare. You know,
That's
that's
true.
raw. That's raw egg and raw beef. That's
Hmm.
double salmonella.
I see people just swallowing eggs left and right, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
crazy.
Rocky did.
Hmm.
Rocky Balboa, not Rocky Horror, but you know. Um, we're coming towards the end of the show, and my question for you that I wanted to ask, you're coming on 7 years now of drag, and you're
Yeah,
almost on your 10-year anniversary, which is it's kind of crazy to think of like doing something for 10 years. Um,
that is crazy. That's in 3 years. Oh my gosh.
what are
I'm
your
gonna be
hopes?
28 when that happens. Wow.
Yeah, and you'll be 30 soon. Yeah, you'll get there.
Oh God. Yeah, I'll be up where you are.
Yeah, you'll get here eventually. And then you'll realize that 30 is the new 20. Like honestly.
I've heard that. Honestly, I'm kind of stoked to get like older.
Hmm. Yeah, me too. I mean, maybe not that old, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel when I'm 40 if I feel the same way. Anyway, it's not about me.
Yeah.
Um, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years before your 10th anniversary? Like, where do you want to
Yeah.
improve? What do you want to do before you hit that 10-year milestone?
I think in all honesty, I just want to see myself pushing my creative expression further. This year in drag, a big goal for me was to go even harder with my designing and my costuming, and to not give up on ideas that I really want to do. So that's something that I'm really excited to actually like put towards my myself in my growth. Um, Honestly, within the next 3 years, I would like to do this as my full-time job.
Wow. I think you can do it
Because
too.
honestly, I feel like drag is my happy space right now, and I feel like it's something that I can achieve, and I think that I can do,
Can I do?
can do. Um, and honestly, I would like to travel with my drag more. Like a goal for myself this year was to perform in Seattle. I've already got that one done. And my next goal is to perform in Vancouver because I'm right there.
Mhm.
So that's like a goal. Who knows when that will happen? But it's a goal that I would like to achieve before the year ends. And I would just like to travel more. And I would like to perform in different cities, different places. I would love to actually perform in like the East Coast area and just like travel and perform. So that's like what I would like to do within the next like 3 years.
You want to meet those Brooklyn drag queens.
I have a couple of friends in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah. I mean, like specifically, JK, Don, hit you up.
I feel like you're projecting what you want.
I mean, I would love to have JK, at least JK on the show. I don't know if I can get Don.
Yeah.
Like, Dawn is she's a drag race, RuPaul's Drag Race
Hmm.
right now. So not to like diminish Dragula, but like it, RuPaul's Drag Race girls are really hard and um busy, I think.
Busy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think you should perform like you should go to DragCon. That's what I've been
I would
saying.
love that.
We should go together this year.
I will definitely see if I can acquire the funds for this year.
Hey, listen, if you and Andy want to like say like split the hotel that I have, which is I will say it's $1,000 right now, you know,
Yeah.
you want to split that? That'll be
I
really
can
easy.
I can talk with him and see kind of what his plans and ideas would be too. Especially like because I know he's gonna be back in Pullman
Mhm.
in April for work. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, DragCon's
And
in
I'll
July.
be in DC next year. Or not next year, next month. I'll be in DC next month, so that'll be
Huh?
exciting.
Yeah, DragCon's in July, so you got plenty of time to think about it. And then we can go to
That is true.
see Meatball Show, Fat Slut.
Yeah, fat slut.
Hmm. Do you listen to
Yeah.
Sloppy Seconds?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I love that
I
show.
love Meatball. I think Meatball's incredible.
I love Meatball. I want
Hmm.
to like I love every time she brings up. We're kind of going over like because I want to get to the lightning round question, but like I
Yeah.
gotta say this when Meatball says, "Have you seen Wicked?" It's like it's like every time like if she does that, oh wow, have you seen Wicked?
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so funny.
She says like that second act is not good though.
I so not to be on a gay theater tangent. Why the hell did they split the movie into two parts? Because again, the second act of Wicked is not that good.
Yeah. We're gonna have to see how that turns out, and even
Yeah.
if even the first part of that movie is gonna be good, which you know
Also, why in the trailer was Dorothy shown? She's not shown until the second act. And
that's what I
anyway,
hear.
anyway,
I've not seen Wicked, you know, and
at all.
no, I
Wow.
I kind of want to like not see it until because one day
Fair.
when I meet Meatball and she asked me that, yeah, have you seen Wicked? I'll be like, no, I have not. I have no interest.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are at the lightning round questions now. Series of life
Da-da-da-da.
questions that I like to ask us each and every week. For your case, because you've been here 3 times, but it's been a long time, so we're gonna ask the OG
Third
questions.
time's the charm.
But the fifth question is a little bit different this time, so that'll be a little bit of a surprise. So, are you ready?
I am ready. Hit me
Question
with them questions.
question one: describe a perfect day.
I feel like last time I said this, I said I would have to say it's April 24th because I'm quoting Miss Congeniality.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but honestly, I feel like a perfect day for me now, in my 25th year of living, would be going out to a park or a waterfront area with my hammock and just laying in my hammock and listening to music and drawing.
Okay, so Andy's just not there
Hmm.
then. Fuck him.
I mean, he can join, honestly, but I thought the show was about me. I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
Um,
I'm just
no,
teasing. But
if it's a perfect date, then it
hey,
would be
okay.
getting sushi and ramen with Andy because that's
Oh,
what we like
nice.
to do.
Is there a specific place that you guys like to go to?
Oh my gosh. Okay, not to go on a tangent, but there is an incredible sushi and ramen fusion restaurant here in Bellingham. I always forget the name, so don't quote me on the name, but it's over in the Meridian area, like the Cordata Meridian area, and it has some of the best ramen I have had in so long.
Oh, nice.
So
I've been craving some ramen. I feel like we don't really have a lot of good options, but I think the
good. Hmm.
option, well, let me rephrase that. Think we have a lot of options here in Spokane, but the options that we do have are really good. I just haven't like
Yeah.
invested. I usually like they usually have like beef beef don, like beef bowl with rice
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, and I'm like, I want that, you know? And
Yeah.
then like the sushi, like I want that. And
Hmm.
I don't want ramen
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah. I love ramen. I am a slut for some soup, and I like that.
Oh, I love soup. French onion soup is really good. I really want some.
Mm.
I'm really
Oh
hungry
my
now.
gosh. Another tangent, but not a tangent. It was back in Moscow before I moved. It was last year, and I don't know how we got onto the topic of it. It was at a drag bingo, and people were asking what our favorite foods were, and I said it's soup, hands down for me. And I just went on a like 30-minute tangent while Kasha was calling numbers about how I think it would be so much fun to have a soup themed drag show where people like the performers would show up as their favorite soup, but they would also bring their favorite soup and they would just eat it while they perform. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
It could be the soup advertisement, like they do at RuPaul,
Honestly,
like in Drag
but
Race.
better.
Exactly. Question number two. Yeah, question number two. What is a song that describes your life right now?
Oh my goodness. A song that describes my life right now. Honestly, it just came out and I've been listening to it nonstop because I kind of really love this performer, Ali X. I love them a lot. And a song that I've been listening to probably on repeat since the album just came out like a couple days ago is Weird World. It's the song that opens up the album and it is so good. It's
Um,
great. You should
wh-
take a listen if you haven't. It's a great album too.
what's the artist name?
Ali X.
Okay, that sounds
Mhm.
familiar.
Yeah, she's had a couple popular songs. I think like Hello is probably one of her popular ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
love that.
It's a really good album though. But also like if we're talking like other music, anything by Canon perfectly describes how I feel in a day-to-day life.
Love that. Amazing. Question number three. What is your third favorite movie?
Labyrinth, hands down.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I love Labyrinth. The
Yeah.
Muppets. Yeah, that's right. You love the
Mhm.
Muppets. I forgot. Like I forgot that.
Oh my God, Andy's a Muppet boy.
Oh
Andy's a
yeah.
Muppet boy.
Ah, I love the Muppets so much.
He describes our relationship as Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Who's Miss Piggy?
Yeah.
Is it
Is
uh,
that a shock?
oh yeah. I mean that makes sense. I want a Waldorf and Stanley. Like
Mm. hmm
the two critics. Like I want a
Yeah.
relationship like that.
We say that like in our day-to-day lives we are the the two
Mhm.
because we just go around having fun and going oh, 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 oh,
I also I also feel like a little Janice sometimes.
yeah, just,
Yeah, like hey, whatever.
yeah,
Um, question number four. What's your favorite ice cream topping or frozen yogurt topping?
caramel,
Nice.
caramel.
I wonder if
I'm a whore for caramel.
I
It's
wonder if
bad.
I wonder if you said that last time. I'm gonna have to
I
check.
probably did. I
Uh,
probably did. I think my first answer has changed. My music song has changed, but I don't think the last two questions have changed at all.
All right. Well, let's get on to the fifth question because that's kind of a new one.
Oh my
Question number
God.
five. You're putting on your socks. Which foot do you
Yeah,
start off with?
my right foot.
Are you right foot dominant?
hmm
Okay. I was talking
But
with
if we're, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I recently, like, as a kid,
hmm
when I say this, but like, I learned that people have a preferred like foot for things,
hmm
which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting because I don't think I really thought about that too much.
hmm
I mean, people prefer feet, I know that, but like, um, I don't know there was like a foot preference, you know?
Yeah. I think it's always my right foot. Whenever I put like my tights on, I always start with my right foot. Whenever I put my heels on, it's always my right foot. But when I was in track, I was a hurdler, and my left leg is my lead leg. So
All
that would
right,
be my first leg. Interesting. When I do the splits, my left leg is the first leg out. Don't know
interesting.
why. I know.
That's really interesting with feet.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. When you first get out of the shower, what is the first article of clothing you put on?
Underwear.
Mine is socks.
Really?
Mine is socks. I don't like things getting on my feet. So like I'm like
Uh,
freshly showered. I just put my socks on first because I
oh,
don't like
that's
getting stuff on my feet.
Oh, that's interesting. If I had
Yeah.
slippers, well, like I feel like I just get so wet after the shower. Like I don't want to put like socks right away. I mean, I could
Yeah.
dry my feet, sure. I mean, I probably dry my body before I get out. So, I don't know. It's something about the underwear.
Yeah.
It's protection, just in case,
Ah, there you go.
someone
Yeah.
comes in and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were in there." Yeah. So
Not me.
they're not getting cock
Can't
and balls
relate.
for free.
Can't relate. I guess they're getting it for free. because my feet gotta be protected first.
I love that. All right, we're at the end of the show. Faye, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Faye Queen underscore. Same Twitter handle. I'm not very active on Twitter. I scroll it, but I'm not very active. This gentleman over here is very active on Twitter. I see his tweets and his comments on the daily, and they make me
Love it.
giggle. Um, but honestly, I feel like it's those two. I have a Facebook for Faye, but that I don't use that. I have
Yeah,
a Threads too, but I don't know how that even works.
Instagram is
So just
probably the
those
best one.
two.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for being on again. We'll probably bring you on
Yeah,
for a fourth time, and we'll bring Andy on eventually.
you better.
All right. Wayward
He
artist.
just has
Oh,
to he just has to figure out how to do it.
oh, it's not that hard.
He's a busy lad.
All right. Well then, wayward artist. Without further ado, it's been real.